Okay, it's day 140. This is part two, and I'm going to call this the Blackberry 20 episode. It also coincides with August of last year, of 2017, very much so. But it's very much in the news now with the Devin Nunes Blackberry 20 10 questions, or maybe this is the State Department 19. But it just so happens that Devin Nunes sent out these 10 questions to about 20 people. We don't know exactly which 10 answered, which 10 asked for more time. Three or four are hiking in the Andes and couldn't be reached, or hiking in the Maldives, or sitting by the bar in the Maldives saying, could you play it one more time? Can you play Hillary for America one more time, Sam? But anyway, this idea of the BlackBerry 20 has run throughout the series. You probably remember the first time I found the Blackberries in April, the BlackBerry 20, I kept on insisting the number of 20, even though Andre Taggart had said maybe five, maybe three. A lot of different people had said 19, 18, and I just was fixated on this 20, and I ended up actually calling the series the BlackBerry 20. I had lots of different names for the folks in Congress that were carrying these, the carriers in Congress, the Compromise 20, the BlackBerry 20. But you can see, I was convinced it was a 20-page report about the 20 BlackBerry burglaries. And really, it started since the first article I'd ever read by Heather Cagle, which had talked about the 20 burglaries. And I had fixated on it because she used 20 burglaries. I thought, well, 20 burglaries, 20 BlackBerries. And the reason why I was so fixated on the BlackBerry being a pay-to-play tool is I could lose my Blackberries. It already had come out where Hillary had lost all these Blackberries. And I thought, what a great pay-to-play tool. Hey, I lost my Blackberry, but I have so many other devices, I lost track of it, and somebody else used it to gain classified intelligence, right?
Kind of cool.
Not really my fault.
Navy and Echelon.
So anyway, that's, if you remember, I mean, I was all over Central Park and all over these different parts of New York talking about the BlackBerry 20s. And then I had speculated that when Imran had lost his 150 Blackberries, or had purchased 150 Blackberries right before the election in February, that's 150 pay-to-play tokens, basically. Keys to the kingdom, right before the election, resources for the future. And I talked about this one Mexican embassy official that was caught with a White House Blackberry. How does that happen? So, those White House visas kind of came to mind, and Omar Awan directing strategy over there, and White House visas over there. And now I'm not saying he was directing an infiltration, but let's just stay with the story. So the smash Blackberries, I had speculated on who the 20 people were and so forth. Well, it turns out today we're finding out a little bit more metadata. You can go through here for looking at how many stories focused on Blackberries. I had coined this term deep Blackberry in going back to May, and I'd found these Blackberries in April. Now, did they just run over from the Congress? Did they run over the night of the inauguration with the 20 Blackberries and run over and put them in Imran's house till the coast was clear, and then they came back 2 weeks later with the Becerra server and restarted operations after the Capitol Police made a feint as far as cracking down on the Blackberries, and then they were back in business as soon as Imran came back in town. When I came in town, did they just run over with a bag and just put them over at Imran's house for a few days and, again, check the box and say the Capitol Police were on the case? Are they still running the 20 Blackberries? We still don't know. Again, I can have a BlackBerry phone and a regular Android phone, and this could be still making money for me out there at the port or wherever it is, right, while I'm using my regular Android phone. And I have an excuse. If you remember, in the Strokes phones, they always have the secure phone. Hey, we're going to talk about Hillary. Let's go talk on the other phone. So as long as I in Congress am allowed to have a BlackBerry phone and an Android phone, this thing is making money for me down at the port, everywhere I go. So this is going to be my new symbol for a BlackBerry that's making money for me. Pixelation over the congressional symbol will always be the symbol of that's money being made there. That's the sign of commerce. Okay, so you can see how many BlackBerry issues I did, and we can go through there. But what's important now is let's go to our guy Ed Rothschild now. Ed Rothschild is the key communications guy, key strategic communications guy right here. For who? For the Podesta Group. He is Mr. Public Affairs. And in mining, people don't want you to mine, so a lot of times you have to come up with these cockamamie citizens groups, and you have to play a lot of different roles, and this is where the whole school play stuff comes in. But when I saw Oleg Deripaska's op-ed in the Daily Caller, that did it, because I said, this has got all the signatures and cadence and knowledge of Ed Rothschild. I'm not saying it's Ed Rothschild, but if Oleg Deripaska had written this, it would sound something like this. Here we go, in my best Russian voice. I am not Russian gangsta. I am diplomatsky. See my diplomatic passportsky. Issuing authority Teneosky. You know Teneosky. Right? Can you not read in black and white ski? I am not Russian gangster, not Russian gangster. I do not split families. I do not have alpha males take mother to make her prostitute with drugs. I do not take beta male and have him take children and sell them to NATO generals and Middle Eastern kings. I am not AB splitter. I am not the alpha beta splitter. I did not take my business to Florida and Trump Hotel. I could just see Oleg Deripaska saying, "I'm not an alpha beta splitter. I'm diplomat. I am diplomat. I have Teneo passport. I have Teneo diplomatic passportsky." So anyway, it just had the ring and timbre and cadence and beautiful hand of Ed Rothschild. So I asked the question: was Oleg Deripaska's op-ed in the Daily Caller? Was that written by Oleg Deripaska, or was it the beautiful hand and timbre and sonation of Ed Rothschild?